In the village, there was a huge hermitage of Gautam Buddha. A famous Buddhist monk lived in that hermitage. There one of his disciples used to speak a lot. He used to talk here and there all the time. When he went to collect donations, he would bring a new story from every house and tell it to the other disciples of the ashram. He used to talk badly about one disciple to another, backbiting and trying to be good in front of others. He used to praise himself from his mouth and always try to prove himself to be the most intelligent and best in front of the Buddhist monk. He considered himself different and superior to all the disciples. He said, "I am a child of a rich family. If I wanted, I could have lived a comfortable and full of facility life, but I left all that and came here because I have to discover the truth, to know myself, to know life. That's why my sacrifice is bigger than all of you." One day the Buddhist monk called all the disciples of the ashram and said, "All of you have to make some resolution. For the next 1 month, this will strengthen your determination power and will infuse self-power in you. All of you can make any resolution according to your ability, and if any one of you breaks your resolution before 1 month, then he will return to his old routine." All the disciples took big or small resolutions according to their power and went away after telling the Buddhist monk about their resolutions. But the disciple, who wanted to show himself as different and bigger, went directly to the Buddhist monk's cottage and said, "I do not want to take any small resolution, but I want to take a big and great resolution, like myself. Please tell me what resolution should be taken." Hearing this, the Buddhist monk smiled and said, "Will you be able to fulfill the resolution given by me? Will it be possible for you to complete it? Probably not. That's not possible for you. You will not be able to complete it. That's why you find a resolution." The disciple said, "No, Buddhist monk, whatever resolution you give me, I will fulfill it." The monk said, "Okay. Then you will keep quiet for the next 1 month. Won't even take a word out of your mouth. This is your resolution." The disciple said, "Buddhist monk, is this also a resolution? This is very easy. Remain silent for a month. You give me some big resolution, which is worthy of my ability, which I have a problem in fulfilling." The Buddhist monk said, "First you fulfill this resolution and show it." The disciple obeyed the Buddhist monk, and he became silent at the same time, and turned and went out of the hut. He found it much easier to remain silent. He spent 1 day silently, but from the second day the burden of not speaking started increasing in his mind. On the 3rd day he started feeling heaviness, and on the 4th day he started feeling a strange uneasiness, because all the disciples in the ashram were talking to each other. He also wanted to present his side in front of them. He wanted to stop speaking, but his resolve was coming in the way. In this way, a few more days passed and that disciple fell ill. His head was exploding. He didn't even feel like eating or drinking. He just wanted to speak. He went to the Buddhist monk and sat in front of him and talked to him by writing. "Buddhist monk, I want to speak. I can't breathe without speaking. I am getting out of breath. I feel like I'm losing my mind internally. What should I do? Should I break my resolution?" The Buddhist monk smiled after reading this and said, "Resolutions are only meant to be broken, but the one who fulfills his resolution increases his inner strength. And the one who increases his inner strength, he is on the path of society and awakening. grows further. Taking the resolution was also in your hands, and breaking it is also in your hands. Many of the disciples have broken their resolve and returned to their old routine. If you are not able to do it, then you can also break your resolve and go back to your old routine. But remember, if you are not able to handle this small resolution today, then how will you be able to handle the rest of your life? The rest of the decision is entirely in your hands. These words of the Buddhist monk hurt the heart of the disciple. He went back without saying anything and locked himself in his hut. He used to come out of the hut only for his essential work and would sit inside the hut for the rest of the time. 15 days had passed, and the resolve of all the disciples in the ashram almost had been broken by now. But his resolve was still on, after taking the resolution. Till now he had not uttered a single word. The entire ashram was taken aback by the sudden silence of the person who used to speak so much. After 15 days, he again went to the Buddhist monk and talked to him. By writing Buddhist monk, I am silent from outside, but there are many voices inside me. There is a lot of whining and complaining. I keep talking inside my mind and keep asking all kinds of questions. The more silent I am from outside, the more noisy I am from within. Is my resolve still on? The Buddhist monk said, yes. Your resolution is still going on, but as long as these voices fall into your ears, your mind will keep on speaking, because you have a habit of speaking. You may be silent on the outside, but you will be speaking on the inside. You have to go away from these things and these voices. The disciple goes from there, after thanking the Buddhist monk. Then he leaves his hut in the morning and goes towards the forest. Many days pass, and the time of resolution is also completed, but the disciple does not return. Everyone in the ashram was afraid that some wild animal might have eaten him. Meanwhile, many efforts were made to find him, but he was nowhere to be found. All the disciples had assumed that the wild animals had made him their prey, but the Buddhist monk did not think so. One day, another disciple of the ashram came to the Buddhist monk and said, Buddhist monk, what must have happened to that talkative monk of ours? Would the animals have killed him? The Buddhist monk said, the animals may have made him their prey, but there could be another reason for his non-return. Maybe he got what he went for. Then the disciple asked Buddhist monk, is it so harmful to speak too much? The Buddhist monk said, it is often said that one of the many difficulties of being human is the inability to remain silent. We constantly feel the need to speak, even when it is not necessary, or when it may lead to negative consequences. A significant portion of our troubles come from our tendency to talk too much. Many family arguments and conflicts are caused by our meaningless chatter. We all want to be heard, but we often fail to listen to others. Instead, we focus on expressing our own opinions and convincing others that we are right. This only leads to more misunderstandings and resentment. This pattern of speaking and not listening continues throughout our lives, causing unnecessary stress and misunderstandings. But in this ignorance we lose our time, our life, our understanding, and most important and precious moments, which can be lived, which can be experienced, which can be enjoyed. But what do we get in return? Nothing. Everything becomes futile and wasted. Only a few people realize what we have lost in this madness, just as other people do not know about their arrival. Similarly, they do not know about their departure. The disciple said, then what is the solution? The Buddhist monk said, this is the only way: to watch your thoughts with full awareness, contemplating all mental problems, by staying in the present, and doing your work with full awareness, brings miraculous changes in life. After that, after getting answers to his questions from the Buddhist monk, he bowed down to him and went away from there. It had been 3 months since the disciple had left the ashram, and there had been no news of him. The Buddhist monks had given up hope of his return. One day, to everyone's surprise and happiness, he returned to the ashram. He was not the same person who had left. He had undergone an incredible transformation, and a sense of calmness radiated from him. His face exuded peace and tranquility. As soon as he came to the ashram, all the disciples surrounded him from all sides and started talking. He also started talking to his disciples. Everyone who talked to him felt he was no longer as impatient and talkative as before. Every word came out of his mouth very smoothly and sweetly. After talking to the disciples for a while, he went straight towards the Buddhist monk. He touched the Buddhist monk's feet and said, "Am I still silent? Is my resolution still on?" The monk looked very carefully into the disciple's eyes for some time and said, "Yes, you are still silent. Not a single word is coming out of your mouth, and your resolution is still on." The disciple said, "When I left the ashram, I was silent with my mouth. But there were many voices inside me. There were many questions in my mind, and they were not stopping. So I went to the forest, hoping that there I would find peace, and the chatter of my mind would subside. But the more I went into solitude, the louder the voice inside me grew. I started hearing the old voice inside me. Only then did I realize how wrong I was doing when I used to say bad things to my family, friends, and Buddhist monks. At that time, I used to feel that I was saying the right thing. Even when I used to backbite and make fun of the Buddhist monks, I used to feel that I was better than them. But that day, I realized for the first time how wrong I used to speak. For a long time, these voices, these complaints kept going on inside me. But gradually one day, all these voices vanished from inside me. Now I have become silent from inside. Also, in that dense forest, there was no one to speak from outside, and there was no sound left inside. And I understood the true meaning of silence. For the first time that day, there was peace all around me. Although there were still some voices coming, which used to come before, I could not hear them. But now I could hear all those voices clearly. The sound of the wind blowing, the sound of birds chirping, and the sound of flowing water. I heard all these voices for the first time, with full consciousness. I had never felt so much peace around me before. So to disturb this peace for the first time, I took any word out of my mouth. I shouted, "Oh God! What kind of peace is this? Why is everything so quiet? What happened?" But even after my shouting, the peace was not disturbed. Everything was as calm as before, outside as well as inside. Dear monk, I had a conversation with my fellow disciples, and with you physically. I am talking and walking, and observing everything around me. However, I feel completely alone eternally and in silence. Even when I try to express myself, I still feel isolated now. I can see everything clearly and hear everything more vividly. The Buddhist monk said that unrest within us is caused by speaking excessively. On the outside, however, when we turn inward, we remain calm no matter what we say. Most of the world's evil originates from our talking. Because we fear silence, we speak more than necessary and fail to listen to others. Instead, we interrupt them to make them understand who we are and what we can do. This becomes the purpose of our lives, and all our energy is wasted in meaningless conversations. Such a society is filled with sorrow because people don't listen to each other or try to understand. They don't know the value of silence because it makes them feel small. The reason behind all the battles in the world is our excessive talking. Therefore, we should speak only as much as necessary to conserve our energy. Unnecessary talking never allows us to go inward and always pulls us outwards. If we want to turn towards our inner world, we must keep our mouths closed. That's why all the Buddhas who became enlightened ran towards solitude, to avoid speaking too much and listening too much. They remained calm in solitude, allowing them to travel within easily. Even while living in this world, we can live in solitude and remain calm, but for this we must save our energy, which we waste on meaningless words. The lesson of this story is that speaking in vain is a waste of energy. Those who want to travel inward must keep their mouths shut. As we come to the end of this Zen journey, I invite you to become an integral part of our Inspira Zen community. If you found inspiration in this story, support us by hitting the like button, sharing it with your friends, and leaving a comment below with your thoughts or any Zen stories you'd like to hear next. And for more moments of motivation and tranquility, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell. Your engagement fuels our journey. Thank you for walking this path of wisdom and enlightenment with us.